drawstring fitted. Hello beautiful people, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Welcome back to another tutorial. It's me IG and I'm back with a new tutorial. If today is your first time of stopping by, you are on the right channel. Welcome. My old and new subscribers, you guys are amazing. Today's tutorial is this trending bubu gown. It is a drawstring bubu gown. It is the reigning one now, and this one we are trying to make, you can use it to achieve different styles. It is going to be a multiple style in one bubu. It is very, very easy to achieve. First, you need some measurements to achieve this bubu. From the center of your back to where you want it to be on your sleeve, you are going to measure it. Again, you need the length of the bubu. Also, you need your hip measurement. These are the three important things to achieve this gown that we are going to make. So now I'm going to fold my materials for us to get started. And as you can see, the bubu is right before us on the screen. This is the bubu we are going to achieve. We are going to use it to achieve different styles after we have finished making it. So guys, let us get started. Now guys, I have folded my material in 4. That is folding it in 2 to have 4. That is the front and back. I have folded them together. And after folding it, because it is a drawstring, remember we are going to open the front to insert our stripe. You can insert bias. You can equally insert the material you are using to make it. The choice is yours. So now, after folding it, just take the center one and draw it a little bit out so that the front part is going to be ½ inch wider than the back, because you are going to close it up to insert your stripe. So that is what I did. So if you can see here, it starts here. I'm leaving ½ inch here so that I can close it up to insert our stripe. We are going to leave ½ inch seam allowance from the starting here. Seam allowance, I left it until the floor length, and the floor length I'm using is 63 inches because I want it to be really at the floor. So now we are going to place our measurement. So from here now, I'm going to go in by ½ inch, which is the ½ inch I'm going to close on the front panel. So I'm going to place my tape after ½ inch. Do you see it, guys? So this is ½ inch we are going to close up to insert our bias or our stripe, whatever we cut out to use. So here is my 26 inches. I'm going to mark at 26 inches. Then I'll come down by 2 inches as my shoulder slope. And also all the measurement I'm making is from this ½ inch, after the ½ inch, because the ½ inch is going to be close to insert the bias. So from here, I'm going to make the wide of the neckline to be 3 inches. And on the back, I'm going to use 1.5. And on the front, I'm going to use 7 inches. Because it's going to be a V neckline. So now, I'm going to mark it. And this is the back. So I'm going to, this is the back. Do you see it? And from these 3 inches, now I'm going to come down to the shoulder slope, which is 2 inches. So do you see our shoulder slope? So now, the vertical measurement that we need here is mainly our hip measurement, but we are going to quickly insert others to get it right for beginners. So from here now, I'm going to come down to my bust point, which is 10 inches, my waist, which is 17 inches. I'm going to make use of 17. My hip is 22 inches, and the floor length we are working with is 63 inches. So let me show it to you guys. Say the floor length 63 inches, here is 60, and the rest is 3 inches. Do you see it? So that is what we are working with. So now let's get back. So now our measurements are taking shape. So on this hip line, I'm going to take my measurement. The circumference of my hip is 10 inches. So I'm going to come in by half. Remember, the half inch we are using to close it up. So I'm going to place 10 and a half. Then I'm going to add another allowance because it's free. It depends on how free you want it to be. In making this boo-boo, it depends on how free. So on this hip line, I'll mark my hip measurement. Then I'm going to add extra 10 inches to my hip measurement, which is 20 inches. Then I'll include sewing allowance, which is 11 inches. Do you see it? Do you see it here? So from here now, I'll come down to the floor length. So on this floor length, I'm going to measure my hip measurement, which is going to be here 10 inches. Remember the half inch to close it up. So it's going to be 10 and a half. Then I'll add extra 6 inches to it. Then plus 1 inch seam allowance, that is 7. So from this hip now, I'm going to connect to the length there. Using my curve. Do you see it? I'm using my curve. I'm using my curve to connect it. So now I'll take the ruler, connect it to the... Do you see it, guys? So now let's connect the upper part. Now, guys, on this upper part, remember we have connected from the hip to the floor length. So now we need our sleeve opening. So the sleeve opening I'm going to work with is 8 inches. Do you see it? 8 inches. So from this 8 inches now, I'm going to connect to this hip line. Guys, do you see it? So from this 8 inches, which is the opening of my sleeve, I'm going to come in by 1 inch. So from there now, I'll now connect it to my hip. Do you see it? So while cutting it, I'll go out by 1 inch, then I'll cut it. Do you see it, guys? So now the next thing is to cut out our material. Now, guys, the first thing we are going to cut out is the back neckline. Remember the 1 inch back neckline? We are going to cut the two together. Then after that, we are going to open it up and take out the inside one, which is the back side. We are doing this to cut out the front neckline. So we close it back. You can go down as much as 7 inches, 8 inches, whatever you like. Whatever inches you like, you can use, but I'm using 7 inches. You see it? So now we place it back. You see it? So now this is our back panel and this is our front panel. Remember our half inch that we are going to close up to achieve our opening for our stripe. So now we cut out our... So now, guys, we are cutting out the shoulder slope. I'm cutting it out, leaving half inch, which we are going to join the front and the back panel together. So now I'm going to start from the down, from this down to cut it out. That is from the floor length. I'm going to start from the floor length to cut it down. Yes. Now, guys, I have cut out our boo-boo. Do you see it? Do you see how it is? Do you see it? So that's our bubu. So the next thing to do now is just to start fixing it together. Remember, this front side, we are going to close it up. Let's work on the front first. So this front, remember we left ½ inch. So after hemming our neckline with bias, we are going to just take it and close it up by the ½ inch that we left. We'll sew it down. So that is the method we are going to use. So this ½ inch that we left after hemming the neckline, we are going to take it and close it up by ½ inch down to the hem of the bubu that we are making. So now guys, remember we are going to tie this inside. We are going to attach our belt to tie it inside to make it the fitted bubu. So we are going to use some of our leftover pieces to make our stripe that we are going to use. So I'm going to cut out, I'm going to use this. So let me know how many inches it is. This is 30 inches, is okay for me. 30 inches is perfect by length, and also the width. The width is 4 inches, is also perfect. So I'm going to cut out 2 of these. So this is our belt to tie it from inside, and we are going to use bias for the stripe, to use it to do the drawstring. We are going to use ribbon, that is bias. We are going to use bias for this stripe. And now this is what, now guys, I have closed our belts. I've closed it. So the next thing to do now is just to turn it to bring it out from this side that I opened. This side is going to be the side to sew to the front panel. So the 2 of them, I've done it. And the next thing is our bias that we are going to use for the stripe. You can decide to use the material, but why bias is better is because if you use bias, it's going to be less, but when you use the material, it can be bulky and it will be showing on the upper parts of your bust. So it's better you use your bias, and this bias I'm using is ½ inch. Do you see it? This is ½ inch bias. Then I fold it in 2, then I sew on it. So now let us finish it up. So guys, this is it. Remember, the length is 63 inches. It is a floor length. So I now cut out 200 inches so that I can have also something to tie it at the upper side. You can cut out any amount you want, provided it's longer than the length of your gown or your whatever you are making. So this is the bias. Now I folded it in 2 and I top stitch to make it more firm. Do you see it? So now the next thing to do is to start coupling our panel. Now guys, this is our front panel. Remember, while measuring, we inserted our waist measurement. So now to attach this belt, remember we have our belt that we are going to attach to make it a fitted bubu equally. So now we are going to use our nipple to nipple measurement to see where to attach our belt. So from here, remember we inserted 17 inches as our waist measurement, and here is our 17 inches. So on this 17 inches, we are going to measure our nipple to nipple measurement. The nipple to nipple measurement I normally work with is 4 inches. So now this is 4 inches. I'm going to add it more 1 inch. Do you see it? I added more 1 inch on it. Then this is 5 inches altogether. So I'm going to also hold it in this form to mark 5 inches on the other side. So here is also our 5 inches, and here is our 5 inches. So the next thing, guys, having marked our 5 inches from our nipple to nipple measurement, we are going to open it up in this form to attach our belt. So now we take our belt. Remember, it's going to be tied at the back. So we are going to place our belt in this form on our 5 inches. We place it. Do you see it? So now I'll take it to the machine to sew it. I'll sew it, and the next thing I will do is to use bias to run the neckline. That is the neckline of the front and also the neckline of the back. I'll use bias to run it, and I'll show it to you guys. Now I have fixed our belt, the inside belt. Do you see it? I have fixed it. And also the neckline, I have used bias to turn it. Do you see the neckline? I've turned it with bias. And also the back neckline, I've turned it also with bias. So the next thing now to do is to fold it back to close our front panel where we will insert our bias to achieve our drawstring. Do you see it? I will advise you place it back on the table. Use your pin to pin it to make sure it is straight. Because if you don't do that, you can end up sewing it and it's not straight. You will start again. So now I'm going to place it back on the table. Make sure that I pin the straight line. I'll show it to you guys. Then I'll sew. So now here is my midpoint. So I'm going to pin it so that I'm going to get it straight. So it's better you do it in that form than sewing it and making mistake and starting it again. So I'm going to pin it now to sew my 1/2 inch where I will insert my bias. So now I'll take it to the machine to sew 1/2 inch to close up 1/2 inch. Another way that you can also achieve this if you don't want to do it in this form is to take your material, cut out 2 inches, fold it on each side. You fold it on each side. Let me show to you guys. I will use this to explain what I mean. You now measure the length. You cut out the length of your gown. Then you cut out 2 inches. Then you fold it on this side and you fold it on this side to have 1 inch. Then you place it on, that is now you are going to open it up. Let me open it up. Another form that you can do it, this is the center point. Then you fold it 1/2 inch on each side. Then you place it on your midpoint here. Do you see it? You place it on this midpoint. Then you sew on it on the 2 sides. Then you sew on the middle to insert your bias. But I feel that that is a little bit much. But this is easier. So that is why we are using this method, just to close it up by 1/2 inch and insert our bias. So now we are using this method. So I'm going to take it to the machine to sew it with 1/2 inch so that we can insert our bias. Guys, this is our front panel. We have closed the 1/2 inch. Do you see it? We have closed it up to the hem of the gown. So the next thing now is to insert our bias, which we have kept ready. So now just take it side. So now just take it, put it into, make it 2. Do you see it? Then take your pin, whatever pin you are using, to put it. Do you see it? So I'm going to now insert it here that we just close. Do you see it? So I'm going to insert it until I come out at the down. Now guys, I've come out to the hem of it. Do you see it? So I'll now pull it. Do you see it? I purposely cut out a lot so that I don't have short of it. Do you see it? So I have this left that I can use. So now the next thing to do is to take it to our machine to sew it up. So we are going to safeguard this down by using it to hem it. So while hemming it, we are going to hem it with this. Do you see it? We are going to hem it with this so that it's not going to be loose. So now this is our drawstring. Do you see it? So do you see the front part? Do you see the drawstring is forming? So now I'm going to join the back and the front and the back together. Then also hem the sleeve. The sleeve, you can decide if you want, you can put a band to it, like this that I'm having here. You can put a band to it. You can equally leave it in that form. So now I will now close it up, just hem the sleeve, then we'll now see. Now guys, our bubu is now ready. Do you see it? That's the bias to achieve our drawstring. Do you see it? The more you draw it, the more you achieve your drawstring. Do you see it? And now I'm going to take it to the mannequin for us to see the styles that we can make. Do you see the down? We have covered it so the bias is not going to pull out. So we have sewn it by hemming the down part of our bubu. And the arm, I have now turn it, that is the sleeve, I have turned it with bias. And the neckline, we have already turned it. And remember, inside our belt, the belt that we are going to use, do you see it? To tie it to be a fitted bubu. So now we are going to go to the mannequin to see the styles that we can achieve with this multiple style bubu. A free bubu. Do you see it? Let me show you the down of it. Do you see the down? It is a free one. You can decide to put it on in this form. Then you put your bias inside. Do you see it? Nobody sees it. So it is now a free bubu. Then let us tie the belt at the back. Now guys, do you see it as a fitted bubu? Do you see it? So lovely. Do you see it? Now it is a fitted one. Do you see it? That's our sleeve. So now let us also use the drawstring. Now guys, do you see it? We have now used it as a drawstring. Do you see it? You now draw it in any form you want. Do you see it? Do you see it, guys? So there are different ways to wear this book. Equally, after making your drawstring, you can equally decide to tie also the belt. It's going to look also beautiful. You see it? You can equally decide to tie it, also pull it down or pull it up. There are many styles to use in this bubu that we have just achieved. Do you see it? So lovely. You can equally draw it up until you make it as a gown, as a short gown. So there are many ways to wear this bubu. So guys, I'm looking forward to get inside it. So if this tutorial has been helpful to you, don't forget to like, share, and comment on my videos. And if you have not subscribed, consider subscribing. Subscription is free. Support me to grow this channel. Love you guys and see you in my next video. Bye.